Welcome to Grassroots Garage. We've got an old friend, Stephen from Beat the Blue back. Stephen, thanks for your time, mate.
Hey, Pete, mate, how are you? It's good to be here again.
Cut to exciting footage of cars ripping around the wet pan. It's Beat the Blue time again. Stephen and the amazing team of volunteers have now raised $200,000 for Police Legacy. With the help of the sponsors, they're planning another huge night. Lock in Saturday the 9th of August. Bring the family, bring your mates, park and walk in on the racetrack. It's a free event and it's going to be massive. But if it's not your thing, that's totally fine. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks to Matt for this footage. It gives you an idea of the crowd and the volunteers that are there to hang out and talk cars. No defects have ever been handed out on the night.
$17-year-old P-platers to 55-year-old grandmothers, that's what's hitting the skid pan on the 9th of August. People were like, oh, you should just charge a couple dollars and, it'll be easier to manage the traffic, but we don't want there to be any hurdle for anyone to be able to come. If you're doing it tough and you just want to have a good, safe and fun night with your family, we want Beat the Blue to be a thing that anyone can come to regardless of their position. Like I said, Beat the Blue set up as a charity. We've raised more than $200,000 for New South Wales Police Legacy now. We had more than 700 applications this year, and I read every single one of them.
I didn't really care about road safety so much until I strapped my girls into the Gemini for the first time, and suddenly I really cared that every other motorist on the road was being safe. So if you're into cars or you've got a young family, you bring your mates along. It's going to be an entertaining night. If nothing else, you get to park on Sydney Motorsport Park. There's a show and shine. There's Mustangs for the young under 12s driving Mustangs.
12 to 16. You can be a 12-year-old kid and drive a Mustang. Pretty cool.
They're braver than me.
And like you said, just coming on the night, you're parking on the racetrack, right?
Yeah.
The car park, because there's so many people coming, you're parking and walking on the racetrack. The same one the supercars were on a few weeks ago, that's you. You're going to be parked up on turn 1 or 4 or Corporate Hill and walking into the venue. And like you said, it's a pretty cool thing to be doing. At the same time, there's cops cruising around the car park, so don't be taking advantage of that either, because you'll probably get the boot.
Well,
you won't get to see much of the night.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we could drive around the racetrack at jogging pace. We're not getting after it that night. If you're going to do a track day, do your thing.
We can hook you up for a more spirited drive, but not on that night.
Not on that night. Yeah. Food trucks, very entertaining night. I guarantee you'll have a good time. I strongly encourage everyone to attend.
Mate, last year was nuts. That's the only way to put it. We were the first event that they had to shut the gates. So to get 35,000 people in one night to watch the event was just blew us away. Obviously there was a bit of logistical nightmare with that, so Sydney Motorsport Park's it's not Sydney Olympic Park that's built to get tens of thousands of people in and out, so traffic was a bit of a nightmare. So the first thing we're doing this year is doing an advanced traffic plan. You'd think a bunch of highway blokes would know how to organise some traffic.
Yes.
But we did our best last year, and we really appreciate the volunteers that stuck it out all night there trying to get some of the traffic in. But we were blown away, really, for an event that started with 40 people all those years ago in a car park in a cafe, to maxing out a venue like Sydney Motorsport Park. I'm just proud as punch of the team that we've got that makes Beat the Blue happen. last year we had a few firsts that we want to continue this year, and that was having 12-year-old kids driving Mustangs, like in the driver's seat, around the figure eight, with a professional driver trainer next to them. Like we had Pol Air land the helicopter at Sydney Motorsport Park with little kids sitting at the I don't know what it's called, joystick or the controls or whatever, in a police helicopter. We had the Mounties, rocking around the horses around Sydney Motorsport Park. Another convincing win by the boys and girls.
What was the score? What was the final?
I'm going to lie, I can't remember what it was exactly, but I think it was 82 out of the 99, which was pretty cool. But again, it's become, the score's irrelevant, really. It's
well, you say that. I see them training. They're not mucking around there.
We've just wrapped up our police driver qualification day, where we had 25 police drivers attend to try and fight it out to represent the police on the night of Beat the Blue. The timings between the first position to the 10th position, which qualify, were only a second apart. So some really consistent driving today, which is what we work on. Our drivers have to qualify on an average time of 5 laps. So we don't care about who's the fastest on one given lap. It's all about consistency and safety. They weren't in police cars, and the layout's different on the night, so it's a bit of fairness, even though the guys did want to have a bit of a practice. Not today. I'd love to say a big thank you to Ford Australia, who also celebrate their 100-year anniversary, like the Highway Patrol, who supplied us a brand new Mustang today for the guys to drive in. I think some of the drivers were keen just to have a go in that, let alone actually try and qualify for Beat the Blue. It was great to have everyone out here today and share the day with some of the legatees as well. We're having a bit of a drive now. All the running of the event, everything we do is in our own time. So it is, like I said, Beat the Blue set up as a charity. We've raised more than $200,000 for New South Wales Police Legacy now. And again, if we swing back to that first event we did 8 years ago, we passed a bucket around and raised like $110 or something, in one night. Raising over 50 grand and over cumulative total of over $200,000. Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah, and I love not-for-profits. I love charities. I think it's fantastic what you guys are doing. I think it's really awesome.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah, and Legacy, just run us through what Legacy does.
So Legacy take care of the families of police officers who have died. So any officer that's killed either in the line of duty or regardless while they're a police officer, Legacy will jump in and they'll take care of the family. So it happens, and unfortunately the police can be a dangerous job, and you'll always have that influx of people. Like in any death in a family or a friend, there's always people around. In that first month or so, there's plenty of support, but the difference with Legacy is 40 years later, they'll still be there, and I've seen it. I even, like I said, as a police officer of 20 years, I've always done most of us do a direct debit every pay to Legacy for a couple of bucks, and you don't really think much of it. You think, oh yeah, a couple of dollars, they'll throw some money at a family if something goes wrong, and that's a good thing. But what I've seen, obviously with a bit more involvement through Beat the Blue, is that a legatee, so a person who's lost their mother or father who was a police officer in their 80s, 90s, 100s, that someone goes and still keeps them connected. So someone will reach out, every few months someone will make a phone call, lob up with a Woolies mud cake and a coffee and sit down and have a chat to them. And I don't think you can put a dollar sign on that human connection. It's basically the same as what we're trying to do with Beat the Blue. It's not about the money. Like if we didn't raise $1 but had 35,000 people together in harmony, connecting, that human connection there, we'd be happy. And one of the biggest compliments that we've received is that a few years back, when we first hit one of our really big, we had over 10,000 people, and we were like, wow, this is pretty cool. And I spoke to Donna McCartney, who's the chair of Legacy, so she runs Legacy, she's the detective superintendent. And I said, we've only raised like $20,000, which is still a lot of money, but I'm looking at all these people, I'm like, how can we raise more? And she said, don't you dare. She goes, look at all these families that, you know, are doing it tough and don't have the money that other people might have, and we've created a space where you can come with your family, with your friends, with your cousin, with your mates, whatever, and you don't have to spend a cent. You can come to Beat the Blue with your packed lunch and sit on the hill and watch the cars drive. You can walk through the car show, check out the traders, talk to the cops, and go home and not buy a raffle ticket, not buy a shirt, not, you know, buy a hamburger, and we're happy. Like, because it really is the primary goal for us is just getting people engaged and together and off the street enjoying their cars. I love cars, I love bikes, I love what I do, and that's why I'm in the highway patrol. Is I've got a real passion for cars and bikes, and we just want people to do it the right way. And everyone's an expert after last year's I don't know the nice way to put it. Like I said, the traffic management was tough last year with the surge in the crowd. People were like, oh, you know, you should just charge a couple dollars and, you know, it'll be easier to manage the traffic. But I don't think having us sell a ticket and then have to check that ticket, you're slowing the traffic down, right? But the primary thing for that is that we don't want there to be any hurdle for anyone to be able to come. If you're doing it tough and you just want to have a good, safe and fun night with your family, we want Beat the Blue to be a thing that anyone can come to regardless of their position. And like we spoke about last time, and we haven't forgotten it, we want Beat the Blue's always been about beating the cops, right? The blue being the cops, but the most common question I get is, Beat the Blue, is that a mental health thing? And it is now. Like we want it to be that, you know, you work hard for a living and we don't get to catch up as much, but we get to, cars bring us together, the event brings us together, and that's what we want. We want people that are, I'm busy, or I can't make it, or I've got this commitment, to pick that date when we've got the event, be it our social events every few months or the main event on the 9th of August, to go, hey Pete, hey Plano, we're going to Beat the Blue, all right? And there's no excuse, all right? It doesn't cost you anything. We've mitigated everything for the guys and girls out there to be able to say, let's just go out there and have a good and fun night. You know, have that human connection, and you never know where that conversation can go. Sometimes people, that's all you need, and that'll be the thing that, you know, could potentially save their life. Right?
You know, you're getting more people involved. You've got a couple of announcements of some new people who've come on board. Yeah,
we're really excited that we've got 2 new ambassadors for Beat the Blue. So Imogen Radburn, so she's a F4 driver, trying to make her way to the F1 Academy. She's come on board as a ambassador for Beat the Blue. And Dalton, he's a wildcard entrant for supercars. I'm pretty sure the team was Tickford. Pretty amazing to have 2 young people, great values, and with that same goal. They love motorsport and they're all about doing it the right way. So when we spoke to Lochie and Imogen, they were really excited to get on board and represent what Beat the Blue's about. And it's just, we're both getting old now, mate, so it's getting harder to get through to that younger crowd.
Am I so out of touch? No. It's the children who are wrong.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's why I'm not wearing a hat, because my hair's mostly grey. It's just because of the sun. But yeah, it's great that we've still got that connection and that want with the younger crowd, because we can sit here and we know that, all right, going to the track and, you know, when we go and meet up and go for a drive, that we do it sensible and we do it right. Like, you can't it's hard, if not impossible, to put an old head on young shoulders, and nobody wants to listen to me yabber on anymore. They've listened to it enough over the years. So it's really important that we get people at their level, at their age, to push that message, because they're the ones that they'll listen to, because they can have that same level. And it's just amazing that we've got that buy-in from people like Imogen and Lochie, that they're just 2 good people that want to be part of something positive and help kids do it right, because they're the ones that will have the biggest influence on that next generation. The other thing we're really proud of this year is we've just about finalised our drivers list for 2025, and more than 30% of our finalised drivers are women. We're just so proud that we've created an event that everyone feels comfortable to be part of. There's no, I don't have enough money, or I don't have a fast enough car, or I don't fit in. Everyone fits in. To 17-year-old P-platers, to 55-year-old grandmothers, that's what's hitting the skid pan on the 9th of August. And like I said, we've had some significant milestones with attendance, with money raised and that, but to see the effort, we had more than 700 applications this year, and I read every single one of them.
Wow.
And we could have done 7 Beat the Blues, but they were all decent, they were all good. And it was just it was really difficult to cull it down, but the primary thing we were looking for is getting new people on the skid pan, because again, what we're all about is getting people to the track. So if you're super experienced than a lifer on the skid pan or the racetrack, we're happy for that, and we still love you to come, but it's about getting those new people in. So it was hard to send out some of those declines.
Sorry, not this year.
Yeah, that's right. And to some personal friends, I had to send out the same, and I'm happy that most of them were pretty understanding of that.
So it started off as a night meet for car enthusiasts, but it's sort of merged into a family sort of a thing, would you say? So what are you doing about like the family sort of stuff this year?
Yeah, sweet. So what we're doing this year is we've expanded on the success of our kids zone. So last year in our kids zone, like I said, we had the kids in the Mustangs, we had the electronic carts for the kids under 12, had the jumping castles and all that. So we've expanded that. There'll be more kids engagements. The Mustangs will be back, the electronic carts will be back, but we've really tried to push into the two-wheel space. So I'm a massive advocate for motorcycle safety. I've been riding for 20 plus years. So Yamaha have come on board and given us a few mini bikes, and we've set up a little Beat the Blue track for kids to get on some mini bikes and have some fun. And again, all that stuff's free. All right, so if you, like I said, it's not just about this action on a skid pan in the car show and that. If the kids can jump on a mini bike, jump in a Mustang and have a drive, or in the carts, the jumping castles, everything's free.
So they've all come on and sponsored it, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. So they've covered the cost for that.
So shout out to all those companies.
Yeah, definitely. So that's, again, and that's James. So Driving Solutions, James is a saint. The bloke, I just get he takes on so much in running and helping come up with all the ideas and stuff. And when you think, well, I hope James doesn't pull the pin, because there's no Beat the Blue without him running it in the background. I'll get a phone call every few weeks at least, and I'll be like, oh, this will be James saying, I've had enough, I'm not doing this anymore. Right? But it's not, it's James going, what do you think about getting some kids on mini bikes? And I'm like, oh, that would be cool. He goes, oh, sweet, I spoke to Yamaha and they said they'll help out. Right? Or the guys from Motor School, which is basically James's equivalent for two wheels at the racetrack. So they do the rider training and track days for bikes and all that. The guys from Motor School are keen as to help with anything that we can do, right? And I'm just like, how cool is that? Right? And James would be well within his rights to go, I've had enough of helping these guys out. Like, how much more do they want? It's all for free. That's right. Nothing. Right? And he doesn't need any help from us. The place, Sydney Motorsport Park's pumping as it should be, and that's what we want. We want the place going gangbusters, right? So just having all those engagements for the whole family to do is amazing. So we've really, like I said, tried to expand into the motorbike stuff too. So last year we had the police motorcyclists do a little demo run, like that California highway style Motocana. Wow. Which was a really cool demonstration. It's still a tough gig to try and get the public involved with that, because you hit some cones in a car on a skid pan and you might scratch your bar. You drop a motorbike and you might break a leg. So it's still a little bit of mitigation we've got to work on before we can get the public involved. But there's some pretty good riders that work for Motor School, and they're pretty keen to have a crack at some of the motorcycle cops. So we're going to do that this year. So that'll probably be the first. They'll be able to give it their best shot on behalf of the public, really. So that'll be back again this year as well. So that'll be a really wicked demonstration of some riding ability there. Some of the things we've spoken about in trying to get the public involved in the motorbike stuff, firstly with the same way we started with the cars, with a show and shine. So we've got the guys from Donut Garage who are the same people that run Distinguished Gentleman Ride, which is one of the biggest men's mental health charities in the world. The guys have raised over $50 million, right, via Movember and for men's mental health. The boys are running the bike show for us, so we're really keen to get as many people involved in that. And again, Maguire's has jumped on board and thrown some prizes for the entrance, and it's the best parking in the house too. So it's pretty cheap to enter, and the whole entry fee goes to Legacy. So if you want to have a good park and be up for a trophy and get a free Maguire's gift, it's pretty good value. But like I said, that'll be where we build it up, and if we can get enough interest, then we'll push to try and make the driving component for the riders work too. But we just want it to be as inclusive as possible for everyone, because unfortunately each year has been an upward trend in the number of fatalities for motorcycles, and motorcycle riders make up a much smaller proportion of road users for the amount of people that die. And as a motorcyclist and as a car enthusiast too, we love to blame other people, but the hard facts, and because I read most of these reports, is most of the motorcyclists that are dying are because of their own actions. You know, we all love to blame the car pulled out and this and that, and it does happen from time to time. But unfortunately, the most common wording I see for fatal motorcycle collisions is failed to negotiate bent, right? And that can only mean one thing, right? Yeah. It's speed and inexperience, and they work hand in hand, because sometimes, you know, a good rider might be able to go through a corner at pace, but when you're trying to keep up with your mate, right, who's a great rider and you're not, that peer pressure is killing people out there, right? And I know that I love riding, and I've been riding for a long time, but I'm not a crash out rider. And if I go out with some of my friends that ride bikes for a living, I can't keep up with them, right? And no person should be able to. Yeah, that's right. So I just don't. So it's really important, and we've all got a duty to sort of take care of our mates, be it in a car or a bike, to keep it social, right? And to stick to our own sort of ability, because there's so many of these reports I'm reading where 3-4 mates have gone for a ride, and it's always the guy at the back that's trying to keep up. It doesn't have the ability, that they end up picking up his gear and meeting him at the hospital. Yeah. And so far this year, more than 30 riders have died. All right, it's just May. Right, that's a lot of people, and like I said, unfortunately, the hard truth of that is the majority of them are at fault, and were in control of their own destiny. So it's not a nice thing, but that's the reality of it. So the more again, if you love going fast on two wheels, then the track's the place to do it. Yeah. And again, that comes back to, ideally, right now, I like to dream that right now there's a track day going on, there's a motorcycle ride day going on, people on the wet pan being, doing some sliding every day. That's my dream for that joint, because that's what we build it for. Tax dollars build it. Let's get it pumping. You know what I mean? Exactly. And it's not, we're all struggling. We've got teenage daughters or a little bit older daughters. Like, I've got no money, but it's not that expensive to do a little ride day or a track day. No. So if you're a member of ARDC, all right, Australian Racing Driving Club, if you're not a member of them, you've got rocks in your head, because I think it's $120 a year. You're getting free entry to things like World Time Attack. When Supercars is on, they've got corporate facilities there that if you're a member, that you can use the free parking for events. Like, you get your membership back in no time. And then on top of that, you get 2 half-price track days. Right, so a track day is $300 odd. So 2 half-price track days is $150, $170 to go bonsai on a racetrack for half a day, right? If I catch you speeding, doing 10 Ks over, which is not very difficult, right? The fine's over $350. I don't think you've seen my car, mate.
It doesn't break the speed
Maybe
limit.
under 10 for you. Maybe
That's
under 10
right.
for you.
Not going fast enough.
But really, doing 70 in a 60 zone and paying $350 for the pleasure and losing 3 points, or doing, maybe not you, 200 down the straight at Sydney Motorsport Park, but other people.
Maybe
right?
95 down.
It is a downhill though. I
That's
reckon. Right. No, you get over 100. I reckon you do right.
Maybe just.
Yeah, if you get on through that last turn, you'll be sweet. But that's the thing, right? It shouldn't be about the money. I don't think there's an excuse, right? Because we spend, car people, I could have bought another house. Like, I hope Rebecca's not watching this, but like how much money I've spent on cars and bikes and wheels and turbos and computers. There's another house there. Maybe not in Sydney, but close, right? But then we whinge about that stuff. Like, I don't blink an eye when I find, a carbon fibre bonnet for my car. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's all right. But a track day for $350, that's too much, right? Or a change of oil or whatever, you know what I mean? So we're our own worst enemies sometimes. We're car people and bike people the same. Enthusiasts, we can be hypocrites, right? And that's the thing. We want it both ways. So when I'm in the car with my family, and you've said it before too, you want everyone to be safe and you want everyone to be slow, and you're cruising around sort of driving normal and some rat bag goes past you and you're like, oh, take it easy with it, because you've got the precious cargo in the car then. But then when we switch gears and we're going for a little bit of a drive and we're the ones tearing past people, then it doesn't matter. Like, so unfortunately, it's a bit of Australian culture there then. It's like when it suits, we can be harsh and the other way.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it. And I guess that was one of the reasons behind creating Beat the Blue is, like, when I'm wearing blue, I can't talk like this, right? Because I can't have
representing
any type of thing. But Beat the Blue, we're not-for-profit. We're totally separate from the cops. We're not the police, right? Like, we can... we can have real conversations about what people go through, give them advice about building safe cars. And I've started my next project now. And again, I hope Beck's not watching this. There'll be someone else be running Beat the Blue in August, all right? But my first fun car when I was on my Ps was a S14, a Series 2 high-spec. Was my first, like, I've most well known for my Evo, and I had that for a long time, racing at Time Attack and all that sort of stuff. But that's still my favourite car that I ever owned, and I've managed to find one in decent nick and sort of locked it away and started collecting some parts for it. But again, that old head on the shoulders, I've sort of engaged an engineer and said, I want to build a car for this purpose. How can I do it where I'm going to stay out of trouble? Rather than going nuts and, going as wide a tyre as I can and, as big a turbo as I can, and then going, oh no, how am I going to make this legal? So I think if I can give anyone any advice if they're starting off in a build, is build the car. If you want to build a street car, like not everyone wants to build a street car. If you want to build a purpose-built track car or a crazy show car that's just going to do the show scene, power to you, right? But I want a car that I can on a Sunday morning, and that's why we're out here in the mountains, because it's a world away, really. I love it. Best thing we ever did was move up here. But I want to be able to get in the car on a Sunday afternoon and go for a drive and know the car's safe, right? Because I'm not missing. I didn't spend millions of dollars developing a car, right? To change the suspension and change the seats and change this and change that, right? There's a reason why we go down that engineering path, and it can be frustrating because it's not cheap, right? But again, I'm not like a global vehicle manufacturer that's an engineer and a mechanic and all that sort of stuff. So you have to trust the processes we have in place, and I want to know that people driving their cars around are roadworthy and safe and all that sort of stuff. So the first thing I did was engage an engineer and say, this is the type of car I want to build. How can I do it so that I can come back to you and get it certified without any hassles? And we've got, and I paid money for that. Got a build plan so that I can build the car right the first time and go to him and get the car certified, get the engineering done, and roll around and drive. And if I get pulled over, and because there's where the cops aren't immune from any of that stuff, right? That I'm hassle free too. And as long as you're doing it right, then you won't have any dramas.
I chat to some very staunch anti all that stuff with the letters. But then I also say, Have you seen that page, SEMA fails? How do you feel about some of that welding? So it's sort of like you got to find that balance where you do want your car to be checked over by a professional to make sure it's not going to snap. Like some of those SEMA fails, some of that welding is just disgusting.
Yeah.
So,
we recently put up a post on the Highway Patrol Facebook page about a car that we stopped on the way to the Easter show, where the driver was intoxicated and he had wire coming out of his tyre. Right, and everyone was like, "Oh, you finally booked someone." No, but we do that every day. They're just not online whinging about it, right? Like car people are. Thousands of those people are getting stopped every day, and we're taking action against them. But because they're not online carrying on about it, nobody knows about it. But anyway, that's another thing.
Every time that you guys put up, we're targeting keep left unless overtaking. Suddenly everyone's like, "Thank God!" This is the one. Yeah,
but that's happening every day. It's just
it's only when people.
Do we have to put up 1,000 photos of Camrys with bald tyres getting tickets, so people feel more comfortable? Like
we're not picking on Camry drivers, but no.
Maybe we should. But anyway,
so it's going to be an entertaining night. Cars, food trucks, show and shine. 12 to 16-year-olds driving Mustangs. There's mini bikes, jumping castles. It's all happening. I strongly encourage everyone to come and support the cause. Stephen's done an amazing job building this thing up. 35,000 people there last year. It's going to be bigger this year. And Stephen's given up his time to come and sit down with us, so really appreciate it. Stephen, thanks so much, mate.
My pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Legend.